Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
Coming in quiet, coming in nice and smooth this week. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing all right. How are you, sir?
I'm doing not so bad. Not so bad myself.
I'm going to take it nice and easy here in the middle of the week. It's been a long year for a lot of folks, so
It's been a long, tiring time for everything, for everybody.
Yeah. So let's just keep it chill.
Yes.
Nice, relaxed BumbleKast here with priority questions from our fine patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members. Thank you all so much for supporting us and supporting the show.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we got a lot on tap, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. Starting off with this question from Les. Is there a form of training that's available for how to navigate social media when companies hire? What's your guys' approach to navigating and handling the internet?
I feel like I have heard that there are training programs these days, but there was no such thing when I was coming up because social media really wasn't a thing.
No.
When I was coming up. We kind of had to learn that the hard way, and don't really think anyone's quite perfected it just yet either. General rule of thumb, don't. And snide answer aside, don't engage more than you really have to. You have to engage some, obviously. But at this point, everyone is constantly bombarding you 24/7.
Right.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's metrics that prove me wrong. But I feel like it's better to be reliable and consistent so that when you speak, people are expecting it and it does something. It isn't just constant noise to keep you on the surface for 15 seconds. Before the algorithm bypasses you for someone else. And this one is the hardest lesson learned. Do not engage with the negative feedback, whether it is possibly constructive, because it does exist, or the bad faith takes that are trying to get you into an argument online, which is never, never, never worth the time. It's best to cultivate the positive response and kind of keep your head down. It does risk kind of creating this little safety box, I suppose, but it will also give you the peace of mind where you are not constantly having to rise to every bit of negative feedback that you get.
Mm-hmm.
And it generally creates a more positive atmosphere of what you're trying to create. I mean, I can't police the internet. I can't police how folks engage with one another. We've said on the show in the past, don't harass people, don't hound people, don't be a jerk on our behalf. But that's about the extent of our power in it. And when you are working on whatever it is you're working on, and if you are engaging in the social media aspect of it, that's about the best you can do.
Right.
Cultivate a positive atmosphere, encourage good behavior, and it can be tricky when negative influences attach themselves to you. There's not always an easy way to cut them off, but the best you can do is just remain positive and try to work around it until they get bored and move on.
Yeah. I think the approach for navigating and handling the internet for both of us is experience. Lots and lots of experience. I mean, I've been on the internet for most of my life, going back to AOL in the mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
So for basically just having an understanding of going through the trial and error of social interactions on the internet has it's something that a lot of people I don't think have actually gone through, who are now all of a sudden thrust into the spotlight or have thrusted themselves into the spotlight, and they are not prepared for what may be coming their way. There's a lot of that. I think that's not even just younger people. Actually, I think younger people might be better suited for it at this point. I think it's mostly older people who weren't terminally online like we were, who are now coming up and are jumping in, and suddenly it's just not working for them. So yeah, I think that's really about it. I think that the best training you can have is just experience for when it comes to dealing with internet social interaction.
One other rule of thumb that I would suggest is, if you are putting yourself out there, if you are the brand you're selling, more or less, whether it's as a visual artist, a musician, a creator of some sort, kind of like what I'm doing with Bumble King and what we do with BumbleKast, is set hard limits for how personal and open you are, because there are some lovely people online, some incredibly generous and warm and supportive people, and there are not, and there is no way to filter who is going to be reading and who is going to be cataloging what you say. So my single favorite James Bond quote was when Q makes his exit, and he says, "If there's one thing I tried to teach you, 007, it's never let them see you bleed." And that, I feel like, carries more weight than they may have intended.
I think so.
If you choose to do so, maybe you're comfortable with that. Maybe you have cultivated a user base that is supportive and good for that. But you're also leaving yourself open for scrutiny, and there will be people who will scrutinize you, who will dig up anything that you have done in the past and either do the worst bad faith take, or wave it in your face and say, "Hey, you did this one time. I'm calling you out. You are a bad person. You are a hypocrite, and I pass judgment on you." So, those people exist, and unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about it. So, do watch yourself. Just be careful.
Yep. I miss Desmond Llewellyn so much as Q.
Yeah,
that guy. He was Q, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's too bad he hated the role, from my understanding.
Yeah, I know.
It's just too bad, because he was the most consistently good thing out of the Bond films.
Yeah, pretty much. And he only ever showed up like one time. I think he only played a big role in the movies a few times, but he's always there. He was a good stalwart kind of guy, All right, next question is from Miggy Sawdust. If you could play a tabletop skirmish game made with the Sonic IP, what mechanics would you like to see in it? I'm assuming they mean like a Warhammer type thing.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with that style of game.
Either am I.
I kind of wish I was, because it sounds like a load of fun, but it also sounds like the kind of hobby that you really have to be devoted to.
It sounds like the kind of hobby you would be taking out small loans for eventually to try and get to build your army, literally. It's like, ooh.
It's kind of like D&D, but with even more requirements.
Well, I mean, at least in D&D, all you need is a character sheet and perhaps some kind of token to represent your character of some sort. That's all you really need. You don't need like 50 million miniatures.
I remember a friend of mine describing doing a game, and they were measuring out the miles with a millimeter ruler, and they spent literally the entire day playing the game, and the battle itself hadn't finished.
Yeah.
It was just maneuvering the armies across a room-sized topographical map, which sounds so cool.
It does.
But it also sounds exhausting.
Yes.
So, anyway, question is, how would you do? And I say this as someone who is barely aware of the style of gameplay. I would think movement would be a large factor in a Sonic-style game. Since mobility is kind of the central focus of these characters, units would be built around what type of terrain they can cross and how quickly they can cross it and what is it that would get in their way. Like, your speed types are probably going to be able to cover the most distance in a turn given steady terrain, but you throw in mountains or forests and that probably goes into the dirt. Unless you have specific units with like high agility, maybe they can get through that easier. Whereas a power class would be able to subvert those mountains, or a flying class would be able to clear that forest without any loss in mobility, but their overall mobility might be lower than a speed type, let's say.
Sure.
And then you could, specify badniks in ways that are less, here is the thing you bop once and move on, and have stuff that is more geared towards that terrain or focusing on undercutting specific classes so that you have to diversify your units. Or this is all coming from me having kind of lightly brainstormed how to do a Fire Emblem Tactics-esque Sonic game.
Right.
Which I guess you could apply to tabletop to a degree.
Yeah, I could see that kind of working. Chat brings up an interesting one here. Factions. Obviously you have like the Eggman Empire, and then you have, I guess, for lack of a better term, the Resistance. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could have, let's see, like Gun could be another one. That would be fun. There's a few different factions, I think.
You could bring in Black Arms again just for the sake of the diversity.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine that anything that's in the restoration would be maybe nature friendly. Natural terrain wouldn't have as many penalties for movement or whatever constructions you need to do. Whereas the Eggman Empire, it is a severe hindrance, but they can gain resources or other boons from clearing out the terrain. Maybe just go full Zerg with the Black Arms. I mean, why not?
You get the Soul Empire in there. Sure, why not? Let's just expand all this out. Let's just go crazy.
Put a little Black Doom miniature on the thing and just say, spawn more overlords.
Yes. Black Arms Rush. at the Brotherhood of Metallics. And it's all just metal Sonics.
Well, now that I think about it, it's more like Black Arms would be Zerg.
Yeah.
Eggman Empire or Gun would be like your Terrans. And then Restoration would almost be like Night Elves. I don't know if that would balance out right, but
something like that. That would be fun. Yeah. Chaotix, they're their own little faction.
They're just the orcs at a Warhammer.
Yeah.
Every roll is random.
Chow. Oh man, Chow. Imagine Chow being a faction with Chaos as the leader.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Swarm units, but you have one actual deadly unit, and everything else is just fodder.
Yeah.
Unless you roll successful snuggles, and then they gain whatever attributes of the unit they're confronting with.
Oh no.
You start off weak sauce, but then you basically become every army on the field.
Amazing. I like that. That's a good one.
I wonder if that would have any actual potential in tactical, or if that could be torn to shreds. I don't know.
It would be interesting. I don't know. Maybe someone who knows more about that could expound upon that. And,
yeah, if you know how tabletop gaming works, please just share your thoughts down below in the comments. Yeah. Educate us on how it should be done.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see if any of these concepts would even work. And we got a question here from Miles the Prower. Hey Ian, since the gods have gifted us with TMNT Shredder's Revenge, I was wondering, how do you think an interaction between the turtles and Espio would go? Since, they're all reptiles and ninjas.
I figure he would just be enamored with the idea of, here are fellow reptilian ninjas. But let him show them how cool of a ninja he is. Let him be in the way of their ninja. Why are they getting out the boombox? Why is there pizza? Pizza is not a ninja thing. Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's those kinds of ninjas.
But in a Sonic Turtles crossover, which by God there needs to be, I can see him and Leonardo vibing together pretty well.
Yeah.
They both have the discipline. They both want people to focus when they need to. They both take themselves a little too seriously, but they also have the skill to back it up.
Yeah.
So
I think Espio would like Splinter for sure. Yeah. He would be very, I think he would be very respectful. Yeah. Also, by the way, I mean, why hasn't there been a Turtles Sonic crossover?
I don't know. I don't know.
Ian, you literally work for the company that has both. You could say, like, maybe poke your head in there and be like, so crossover?
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Huh? You're the guy who could spur that on. Come on. Here's one from Noni. Hello. I had a heckin' curious. The Chaos and the Soul Emeralds have been shown to have some sort of sentience, and the Phantom Ruby is able to absorb people at will and show people their deepest desires. Does the Warp Topaz have any such bonus abilities? Can it think? Or is it the rock personification of head empty, no thoughts?
I never intended it to have any kind of will of its own, but I also intended for it to be destroyed at the end of Metal Virus, and SEGA said, no, keep it ambiguous for potential use elsewhere. I was like, well, okay. So if they have plans for it, who knows what'll happen to it. God, that's such a weird thought, you know? Here, I came up with some random thing in a spinoff, and it might get used elsewhere in the franchise. I mean, that's cool. It's weird.
It is weird how much the IDW comics are slightly more influential than the Archie comics were. Actually, a bit more influential, just in terms,
way more.
Just in terms of characters getting pulled from it for games and stuff. Sure, it's the mobile games, but still, it's official recognition. Pretty cool. So I don't mean to disparage Archie fans with that. By the way, guys, I mean,
no.
loved Archie Sonic. I mean, look, I grew up on Archie Sonic. I can't stress that enough. It's just, you know, the way IDW has been integrated with the rest of the franchise has been a bit different from how Archie was.
Right, you're not making a judgment call on quality. You're making an empirical observation.
Right. Yep. Just wanted to put that out there, since some people seem to misinterpret that. Here's a question from Nova Poly Duo. I remember in your earlier Bumblecast, you made anti-versions of Chip, Tikal, and Chaos, but I'm curious. What would an anti-Shadow, anti-Rouge, anti-Marine, anti-Gerald be like? What about anti-Blaze, anti-Marine, or the IDW cast?
We did some of those very recently.
Yeah, we've done a lot of these many times. Although I don't know if we've done like anti-Blaze.
No, like anti-Rouge would be, you know, incredibly generous and wear her heart on her sleeve and just be very open and trusting and forthright.
And giving away everything. She would find stuff, but she would give it away. She wouldn't take it for herself.
And if she's stealing anything, she's raiding museums to put them back where they were originally dug up from.
Yes.
She is restoring temple goods.
Uh-huh.
She is resetting temple traps. Anti-Blaze would be kind of likewise very reckless and bold and in your face and have no qualms about who gets caught in the crossfire. Pun completely intended.
So almost like Sonic, but cranked up to 11 and also kind of not good in a way.
And whereas, you know, our Blaze is, you kind of forget that she's a princess because she is so down to earth and, you know, modest and reserved. Anti-Blaze would be just a terror, a tyrant. She comes from the anti-soul dimension to conquer Anti-Mobius, to annex it into her new multiversal empire. She will rule everything under the soul, as it were. Anti-Marine would be very quiet and reserved and not very gregarious. Not a people person whatsoever.
Yeah. She'd hate everybody. and want everybody to leave her alone instead of her making everybody else want her to leave them alone.
For IDWCast, I don't know if we can go through every single one of them. The show's already going to be running a bit long because we're only like 4 questions in.
And Tingle and Whisper just swap personalities.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
We get Strangle the lemur and Scream the wolf.
Yep. Strangle the lemur. Those are good. Yeah. Starline would just be a nice theater teacher somewhere. That's it. He's just a college theater director. Maybe even high school theater director.
Can't stand Dr. Kentabor, though.
No.
I mean, sure, the guy means well, but he's just an idiot.
Hates him. I get it.
I mean, Starline could do better, obviously, but then who would teach these children?
Who would?
He's needed. They need to learn to love the stage.
It's true. We got any more? Or I think that's enough.
That's good for now.
Yeah. All right, here's one from Pen Dolce. So, what are Starline's favorite flowers?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious, given that he's pushing up daisies.
Spoiler alert. Maybe the question should be, what were Starline's favorite flowers?
Well, maybe forget-me-nots, so that his legacy might outlive him.
Dang! Brutal. Just brutal. Wow. Incredible. That is so mean, Ian. Wow.
It is. And I know fans of Starline are a bit put out, and I do sympathize. I really do. But he is an irredeemably awful person. He deserved everything that he got.
Yeah. It's kind of silly. Like, actually, our next question kind of is another thing that is a thing that has come up that in the discourse recently you probably are aware of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So spoilers for Sonic 50. Here we go.
Yeah. This one is from Pedanticat, and it is definitely spoilers. You have Sonic state his ideology to Surge about how he wants everyone to live their life as they should, as long as they aren't using that freedom to cause harm, with him not wanting to rob people of that choice by killing or even imprisoning them. How did this ideology of Sonic come to be? Is this ideology something Sega themselves told you, or was it more so you came to the conclusion that this has to be Sonic's ideology based on his portrayal within the games over the past 30 years? With Sega agreeing with that assessment, since they approved the speech you wrote for him? And how do you personally feel about Sonic's whole ideology?
This is basically the Sega standard, just more overtly stated, I guess. This is how Sonic is by Sega, and this is me basically spelling it out for anyone who hasn't quite figured it out to this point.
Yeah. And some people don't like it, and that's
and I understand
unexpected, and I get it. Yeah,
and that's because when putting it together and putting it out there, the thing is, he's not 100% right, but he's not 100% wrong either. It's not a black and white issue,
right?
That's the thing. If you allow people the freedom of choice, they are free to make wrong choices. And that can come at the detriment of others.
Yep.
And where Sonic's heroism comes from is that he is dedicated to stopping when anyone who goes too far in the wrong direction. Now, he will give you as many chances as it takes for you to figure out, oh, wait, maybe I'm the bad guy. But he's still going to stop you every time you do something bad.
Yeah.
You know, it might be, sorry, didn't mean to destroy everything that you've ever hoped and loved to achieve, dashed all your dreams and made a joke at your expense. But, if you hadn't have been trying to impose your will on everybody else, we wouldn't be here now, would we?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, and Scourge is a sympathetic antagonist, to be sure. She got cast a really bad hand.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very, very hard to immediately shift gears from, being the victim to accepting help. But part of it, too, is she made a conscious effort to be
right,
justified in her own mind. Sonic came out and should have said, yep, I'm willing to give you a second chance. Doesn't matter that you hit me in the face. Doesn't matter that you had me in a chokehold for about a mile at 60K and threw me into, iron bar. Things happen. We can start over. And she, monologued until she had rationalized herself into being, yes, I'm going to murder you because I'm totally justified in my own mind. And so it's like, all right, that's your choice. I gave you that choice. And now you're going to try to murder me, and we're not going to let that happen. So
yeah.
It is, his point of view is very simple and idealized, but it's also a children's fantasy. We're not going to be able to answer these high level moral questions that humanity has been grappling with since we had an understanding of morality to begin with in a Sonic book. This is introductory level. And if you're in your 20s or 30s or 40s and you don't find this surface level approach fully satisfying, go read adult material. Go read stuff that does delve into that and does try to tackle it and does something smarter. This is not something smarter.
Unfortunately, the Sonic franchise has not really grown up with us older folk.
It's okay to have introductory level ideas to larger concepts.
Right. Yeah.
It is okay to introduce larger, broader approaches to these ideas without solutions, so that the kids can teeth themselves on this and then move on to deeper, harder hitting stuff.
Mm-hmm. I got one from the chat here that I like. As turn brain off and enjoy technicolored furries, which is pretty good. I like that. But
I'm not saying that this is thoughtless. I'm not saying that I'm writing a stupid Sonic book before you throw out that bad faith take. I'm just saying, don't take it that seriously either.
Yes, you're not going to be getting super deep storytelling from Sonic necessarily. You can, but it's always kind of couched in that sort of this is a bit higher level stuff. It's not really delving deep into things. So being for kids doesn't mean it has to be dumb, and it doesn't mean it is dumb, but it's there's just a different way of storytelling. So here's one from Pizza Person. Are you allowed to, or would you want to explore unfinished plot points of Iblis being sealed by Blaze, her spotty memories of 06, or a detailed explanation on how she became princess of another dimension if she is originally from the future?
Yes and no. I mean, last part first. By the evidence we're given, she can't have been from the future because her bloodline has protected the Jeweled Scepter for generations, according to Sonic Rush Adventure. Ergo, she's from the Soul Dimension, unless that plot point gets forgotten or retconned, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I would like to, but the thing is, to dredge up those points, we would have to go back over a decade to reintroduce the starting plot points for this to make sense to the casual audience, to then explain it to everybody, and I don't know if it's worth the effort.
Yeah.
It might be just better to say, yeah, there's stuff there was. Let's focus on who Blaze is now and move forward. I don't know. Maybe the opportunity will arise to explore it. Maybe not. We'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here's one from Quaggle Gaggle. Ian, have you ever thought about the day you and Sonic finally part? You've been through so much drama and legal shenanigans. The fact you're still here means something. And if anything, that's worth celebrating. 16 years, though, is a long time, and I wonder if you ever see yourself not involved with Sonic and what that even look like. I realize actually having a book plays a part in that, but like you said, this thing is an anomaly. Stan's been with Usagi for over 35 years, and Sparky Schultz stuck with good old Charlie Brown for close to 50. Have you started to play that numbers game?
What's different with Stan and Schultz is that those were their IPs.
Yeah, they were theirs.
Sonic is not mine.
No.
I have definitely had an impact on the franchise. I will be a sizable footnote in the wiki entry to time, but Sonic is not mine, and it never will be. And that's something that I feel like my presence online has kind of muddled for some folks.
Yeah.
The thought has occurred to me. It is a ever lingering sword of Damocles over my head, because once I'm not riding on his coattails anymore, what am I going to do with myself?
When you stop riding on his coattails, what am I going to do hanging off yours?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a scary thought, and it will be, when that happens, it's going to be very, very weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to have a hand on the steering wheel at all. I mean, it's already because, all right, so back in the Archie days, I was the lead writer, and occasionally we'd get Evan or Tracy or Aaliyah on board. But it was mostly me running the narrative, and 9 times out of 10, I was kind of a glorified assistant editor, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
With IDW, that I didn't have the same kind of editorial oversight, I guess, which was a big change to begin with, which was also kind of nice because it was less work for me.
Right.
And now that Evan is lead writer and I'm just a contributing writer, and that there are other writers involved, and it's like, well, I don't have to map out the overarching narrative. I don't have to figure out where all these stories fit or if there's a larger game plan. That's not up to me anymore. That's not my job.
Yeah.
And that has honestly taken some getting used to. It's like, I don't have to stress over this. I don't have to be on top of everything. I'm still aware, of course, because I'm still contributing. Whatever I add to the mix, I want it to fit with what Evan is doing. But, and it's also super easy because Evan is like super chill and cool to work with. So,
what, you mean you aren't just going to write your own thing and ignore what everyone else is doing? Why the heck not?
No, because that would be the height of unprofessionalism.
Oh, really? Weird. Strange.
And there's other factors too that I might be able to get into one day, but the day that I'm just not attached to Sonic and can, I don't know. I have thought about it, and it's going to be really weird to not be in the know to some degree, to not have some kind of input. I don't think I'm going to be able to just transition back to a casual fan, because I've seen too much and learned too much. I know how a sausage gets made. I know what's in that hot dog. I still enjoy that hot dog, but
yeah,
it's going to be weird.
You've been traumatized too much.
And I've just come to know it so differently.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I'm going to try to adhere to, and, mark my words, because this is something that I want you to take me to task to, future peoples, is I want to, at least for the first little while, not really comment on Sonic stuff, in the post-Flynn era. Because what I say is going to carry weight, whether it's something casual or something praising or something critiquing. People are going to pay attention to it more than just your average Sonic fan. And I don't want to color the perception of whoever comes after me,
Yeah.
That's why I try not to weigh in too much on, whatever Evan is doing, because I'm supportive of her and she does good work. But I also know that people are going to look at whatever I say and either spin it any direction that isn't particularly flattering, and I don't want to undercut her in any way. So I just this goes back to the social media thing we were talking about before, is just watch what you say. And I try to watch what I say. I try to watch how I say it, and it inevitably ends up
It's still
open mouth, insert foot.
It's not easy. It's not easy. It's a constant battle, and
I feel like everything we just said about the Sonic philosophy thing, that's a tasty foot right in the mouth.
And then sometimes you're like, you get like I do sometimes, and you just start whacking that hornet's nest, and it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you're kind of an idiot, Kyle. Maybe you should stop that.
So, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it because it will be strange and different and a lack of reliable income. But I don't know. There's no sense in fearing the inevitable. So
yeah,
dread it, run from it. It'll arrive all the same.
It'll always catch up to you. Always will. It'll be interesting though when it does happen. Not if it happens, because it probably will. But we'll find out.
I'm sure Bumblecast will be fine, though. I mean, the backlog of questions we have should take us to the heat death of the universe. We're set.
It probably will.
That much is fine.
Probably will. The question is, will we start losing patrons? Will patrons fall off and be like, bloop, 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 bye, see ya. Okay, see ya. Whatever. Okay. Well, I mean, we might still do the show just because we have fun, but
It's out of habit at this point.
At this point, yeah. At this point. I mean, doing it 3 times a week. Jeez. Remember when we used to do it once every 2 weeks? And we'd only answer
struggling for content.
And we'd only answer 6 questions on each episode.
Oh man, this episode's only 30 minutes.
And we'd be like, oh, here's 30 questions, or here's 6 questions. It's like, oh man, and we only got 6 questions for this week. We don't have enough. Oh, the old days. The old days. It's funny how things have changed. Anyway, so what you were saying then, Ian, is going online and crapping all over the people who come after you, and when it comes to Sonic, is totally a cool and good thing you should be doing, right?
Don't hit that hornet's nest, Kyle. Don't hit that hornet's nest.
Here's one from Scruffy Bet. Okay, and I think I figured out what the biggest problem with the IDW Sonic comics is. Why isn't there an announcer screaming laser, spikes, rocket, and so on when people use their Wispons? Can you at least confirm that Whisper hears that in her mask whenever she switches wisps in battle?
That's the interactive part of the comic. You get to do it.
You get to make those noises, yes. You get to make all the onomatopoeias noises.
Yes, you can scream at the book as much as you want. And if you want to pretend there's multiple shots firing, scream rocket or laser as many times as you want. That is the freedom that this book gives you.
I love that.
Revel in it.
I love that stupid announcer. I love stupid announcers in video games. Give me more of them. I want dumb announcers screaming everything that I do at me in all video games all the time. That's what I want.
I ain't gonna lie though. At the end of Sonic Colors, when he shouts out,
"Oh,
colors!"
Yeah,
that gave me tingles. It's like, oh, all right, Eggman, taste the rainbow.
Yeah. It's like the Wave Race 64 announcer is glorious. I love the Wave Race guy. It's like, good. No problem. It's just like, what? Then he yells, bonsai! When you win. And it's like, what? It's so dumb. And I love it. Stupid screaming announcers in video games. Give them to me. All of them. Sam Cybercat has a question. If you could choose 2 more IDW characters to get the Tangle and Whisper treatment included in a mobile game and official merch, who would be your top picks?
Well, if it's 2 specifically, it's got to be Surge and Kit. They're a package deal.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just any one, Starline.
Yeah,
clearly. But I can't really say
I want all 3.
Well, yeah, that too. But like if we're saying 2, it's like you can't really say Starline and Mimic. And you can't just say Starline and Surge because no, where's Kit? Kit's part of the deal. Come on.
And Starline and Bell, though, you could maybe.
Maybe.
It'd be fun.
I mean, Rough and Tumble would be fun, but I got to be honest. I love my stupid, dirty boys, but they are not star power. they're at the back of the line.
I mean, they are mooks. They are fodder.
They are
and mooks are very fun. Don't get me wrong. They're
absolutely.
Fun, but they're not the merchandise draw.
No. I would love to see them in mobile. I would love to see them as like a mini boss in a game of some kind, but they are not the marquee title. They're the opening act, not the finale.
Oh man, a Rough and Tumble mini boss fight would be pretty fun though. That would be pretty cool.
See, I imagine you fight each one individually, Rough in one stage, Tumble in the other stage, and then they come back at both at the same time.
Yeah.
In like the third stage or whatever. And individually, they're not that hard. You can get their patterns down pretty easily. But when they're together, they complement each other to the point where, oh, wait, this is actually a hard fight. I need to pay attention.
Yeah, it's Bebop and Rocksteady from the TMNT games. You fight them separately, and then they come together, and you fight them both. Genius. Brilliant. I love it. See, this really is just... we're just begging for a TMNT Sonic crossover. It's got to happen. And our last question before we take a break is from Radgery. Peanut butter, crunchy or smooth?
Oh, smooth. No question.
Oh, darn. I thought we were going to fight about this.
Why?
I'm a smooth guy. Smooth.
I mean, like, you have peanut butter with your peanut butter and jelly.
Mm-hmm.
Jelly is not crunchy.
No.
If you got crunchy jelly, you got a problem. So
yeah, you
have your smooth peanut butter, your smooth jelly on your nice crisp bread, and it all just is. It's a wonderful mouth feel. You add the crunch in there, and something's gone wrong. That does not fill one with joy. That is no.
I'm okay with the crunch.
No.
I'm okay with it, but I prefer smooth. Smooth.
Like if you want the texture, then you grab a couple of potato chips. That introduces the salty, and then you go back to the sandwich with the creamy and the sweet, and it's a nice back and forth. It's a symphony of the experience. You put the crunchy peanut butter in there, and you just ruining everything.
I can't say I've ever thought of having potato chips with peanut butter and jelly.
That was my go-to lunch from like kindergarten to 12th grade.
To now?
Yeah. That's peanut butter jelly and potato chips. That's it's a good combo, dude. Not together. I've known people who put their chips into the sandwich, and we're back to the crunchy thing again.
Yeah, no.
No, you need to break it up. There's a pattern to it.
Yeah. Yep. Smooth peanut butter for my smooth brain. That's all I want.
I mean, for pity's sake, my initials are a brand of peanut butter. It's got to be smooth.
Yes. But not an animated GIF.
No.
And on that note, I think it's time to take a break. Maybe have some peanut butter. And then we'll come back with more BumbleKast. And here we are with more BumbleKasty goodness. Getting into it with a question from Sapphire Scarletta. Is Surge made with Sonic's DNA and like how Kit is made with Tails' DNA?
More that Surge is made from Sonic's biodata. What is the difference between DNA and biodata? I don't know, but it's whatever data Neo Metal absorbed. Whereas I believe that Starline was looking at Tails' genetic structure to figure out how to control multiple appendages.
Alrighty. Here's a question from Scourge Time. Hey guys, there's a new EX World Grand Prix with the Chaos Emeralds offered as the grand prize. There are also rumors about an ancient treasure. Let's say Scourge joins the race for the big prize. How would this story of Sonic Riders go, and what would his board look like?
His board, I would imagine, would be a black and green version of the, what is Sonic's board called? The Wind Star? The Blue Star? Something like that.
I don't remember. It's going to have, like, tailpipes on it. It's going to have flames shooting out of the tailpipes.
Nova. Oh, it's got to have a flame pattern on it, to be sure.
Of course.
I mean, let's be real now.
Uh-huh. Gotta have flames.
And yeah, he'd be in it for himself. He's not with either side or any team. He's out there to beat everybody. He's going to be a jerk about it the entire time. And maybe he's a big enough jerk that he gets Sonic and Jet to put aside their rivalry for just a moment just to make sure he loses.
Yeah, I could see that. I
can just see, Sonic giving Jet a hand up, and Jet's like, okay, I don't even care if I win anymore. We just have to make sure he loses.
Yeah.
And then Scourge cheats and steals everything anyway in the end.
And then there's a whole other game where you have to get everything back from him.
Then it's a kind of boss fight against, glowing purple Super Scourge. And it's more of an endurance thing where you just have to outlast him until he powers down and goes careening into a wall.
And then you can pick up the emeralds and go super and then beat him. Beat his ass.
You get the emeralds, Jet gets the treasure, everybody leaves happy except for Scourge. He slammed into a wall, as was intended.
Yes. All right, here's a question from Scurvy Pirate Hog. I think it's safe to say that, while Classic Sonic is its own beast with the timeline split / alternate dimension stuff, that the events of Sonic Origins happen in both timelines, Sonic 1, CD 2, and 3 and Knuckles. But there is something I've been wondering. In the modern timeline, how do you suppose the transition from classic to modern happened in the universe? What made classic Eggman change his style to become modern Eggman, and so on?
I'm going to have to abstain from this one. I know things, and I am not clever enough to talk around them. Because, I can do my little hashtag knowing smile. I can tease at some answers, but I never want to just outright lie or mislead. So I'm just going to have to say that I know things and going to have to just avoid this question.
Well, I can answer it.
Go for it.
I can say, play Sonic Pocket Adventure. It's totally canon.
Except it's not. That I
know.
Say.
It's not. I know. That's the joke.
Which is too bad, because it would have worked fine.
I know. It's literally has the transition between the two, and it would have been a good explanation. And, yeah. Oh, well. Maybe we'll find out sometime, at some point. Here's a question from somebody. What was the extent of your contribution to Sonic Origins? Did you come up with the general ideas of what the story presented in them would cover, or did SEGA dictate that? Did you factor in the manuals? Tails' introduction in particular seems to contradict the Sonic 2 Japanese manual.
Again, I'm not too sure how much I can say. I was involved with the group that addressed the project. I guess I can say that. And was one of the voices weighing in. And then what that group decided is where I went from to do the script and so on and so forth. But this is the canon way of things happen now. This is the retcon to end all retcons. This is the official across the board English and Japanese. This is for everybody. This is how Sonic's original adventures happened.
Okay, then. Until they decide to change it again.
Well, that's entirely possible, but I'm pretty sure this is going to stick for a while at the very least.
Yeah, maybe a decade or two, maybe. We'll see.
For what it's worth, I did pitch the idea that CD came at the end. Because to me, it made sense that it go 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, and then Eggman tries to get the Time Stones to undo the original trilogy and all of its failures. But that got vetoed, so we have 1 CD, 2, 3, and Knuckles. And there we go. That is the answer. It is set in stone.
Set in time stone.
Dude.
it still kind of makes sense, you know. He gets foiled.
Oh, sure. I mean,
he gets foiled at the end of Sonic 1, and he's like, and then he finds out about the time stones, like, oh, I can go back in time and get stop Sonic before he even begins. You know, something like that.
yeah, it all works out. I mean,
Still
play the game, see how it works out.
Yeah. It's great. I love those cutscenes, though. Did you write dialogue for anybody, or is it truly silent?
Oh, it's silent. It absolutely is silent.
Okay, I was just wondering if you had
that was always intended.
Okay, I was just wondering if you had like dialogue in mind or whatnot, but it didn't actually. Obviously, wasn't in the final, and I wasn't expecting it to be. But you know, just if you had things in mind of, I don't know.
No. It was always intended to be silent.
Okay, cool. Here's a question from Sonic. Hey, I was wondering, are Shadow's Chaos Spears and Chaos Blast forms of Chaos Control? And if so, does that mean Shadow needs a Chaos Emerald to use them?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because he could use a simple Chaos Spear in Sonic 06 without any kind of Chaos Emerald. But he needed one. Did he need one? Or maybe not, because in his fight in SA2, that's one of the things he does.
Yeah, and
he does have an emerald there because they're all plugged into the Eclipse cannon. So yeah,
Generations, the Generations fight also, he doesn't have an emerald, I don't think. Yeah, and
Chaos Blast, I don't think is emerald. I think it's just his natural energy, whatever that may be.
Oh, Chaos Blast. That's his natural energy right there.
Really, Kyle?
Dude, you know me. I'm like 5 years old mentally. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's a very chaotic blast, you know? Speedweed is here with a question. Now, I know you don't play fan games, Ian, but what about those classic Doom wads? I mean, we got Realism 2, Demon Steel, Russian Overkill, Brutal, Doom, Treasure Quest, Hideous Destructor, and even a few others. Any of those pique your interest? Are you and Kyle bad enough guys to gimp/empower yourself with insane Doom mods?
I never played the original Doom, so I never got into that style of gameplay.
It's funny, because the only one I'm familiar with and even know of is Brutal Doom on that list. Never heard of the rest of them, except for when Speed started talking about them in the Discord server. But other than that, I'd never heard of any of them before, except for Brutal Doom. So,
I mean, I've seen some really impressive mods, like I've seen a Castlevania Doom, for goodness sake.
I mean, look at Sonic Roboblast 2. That is like a serious Doom mod, considerable Doom mod.
I mean, it's a versatile bloody engine.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Pun intended there too.
I see what you did there. I don't know. I gotta get through the original Doom first. I haven't even beaten it. I've beaten episode 1. Does that count? That's about it though. I've not gone further than that. I played Doom 2016 though. Played through that. Great game. Fantastic. So, and the original Doom also very fun game. And Doom 64. Both Doom, the original Doom and Doom 64 I need to finish, but both very good, both fun. I like wandering around shooting demons. It's cool. It's fun. It's neat. Rip and tear, buddy. Rip and tear. Steph Cube has a question. There's some confusion in the fandom about your role in the Sonic Frontier script. Some believe that the Japanese writers write the entire story and you just do the localization in English. Others say that Sonic Team tells you how they want the story to be and you just develop it further by putting the dialogues to the characters. Can you please clarify that for us? Without spoiling anything, obviously.
It's complicated, but I can't say anything outside of the officially sanctioned interviews that I did for IGN and Game Informer, I think.
Yeah, Game Informer. Yep.
So I'm going to have to refer everyone to those, and other than that, I got to back away slowly.
Well, I don't know how much Pontac and Graf went into their process, but I assume it would be something along those lines.
I don't know what they have said. But I don't know how active they are within the fandom.
But yeah. No.
Given how awful people have been towards them, I can't imagine they're that active. But
no, they've had a few interviews and stuff, though.
Okay.
Out there from a while ago. So I can't imagine it's too different from that, but obviously you can't corroborate that right now. I don't blame you. Maybe, hopefully, one day that can be clarified. Here's one from Tempo. Last I heard, the 30th anniversary classic Sonic comic, or at least the first story, wasn't canon to the main book, but rather the classic universe, specifically post-Mania. But now the continuity gurus need to know, is the comic canon to Sonic Mania the game, or a new IDW exclusive classic Sonic timeline separate from the one seen in the games?
I just consider classic one thing right now. So classic stories happen in the classic universe, and don't worry too much about the classic timeline.
All right. Worry not about the timeline. You're telling people to not worry about the timeline, Ian. I don't think that's going to go well. It's not going to work.
As time goes on, that mantra just gives me more and more comfort. Everything is canon.
Here's a question from the Might of Gabura. The Emeralds are said to control and warp time and space, but beyond that, they can contest against the power of the stars, which manages parallel worlds and dimensions on its power alone. It has enough power to restore Solaris, a deity that 1. Devours timelines and dimensions, 2. Is a higher/super/beyond dimensional being, and 3. Transcends time according to the 06 script. Back to his full power. Can resist mechanisms from Time Eater that obliterates and or erases color, time, and space, then places things caught in the crossfire in a weird limbo space, Sonic Generations, as well as allow a person to will things like thoughts and ideas into reality, Sonic 06. So, what are the capabilities according to SEGA? They sound completely balanced to me and are the ultimate MacGuffins, it seems.
More or less, I mean, a lot of that can be covered in just the idea that the power can bring one's hopes and wishes into reality. So if you have Sonic who wishes to have the power to stop Eggman, you get Supersonic. If you have Solaris who wishes to wreck everything, that's the power that it grants something of that innate power. So it might be that, it's kind of the input gets exponentially output. Officially, I don't know what limitation or such is on the Chaos Emeralds. They're kind of the Deus Ex Machina. They do what they need to do for the story.
As the plot dictates. This is what they do.
I mean, they have unlimited power is kind of like the go-to one, except for all the times they got drained of their power.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be better to say they have unlimited potential. I don't know.
And you're just aping from Mega Man. Mega Man X specifically. He has unlimited potential. And then he squanders it. Typical blue hero stuff, huh? That's how it goes. Yoshi Milkman has a question. What's the hardest part of creating an original property? Personally, I've had ideas myself, but coming up with a cohesive world and tone tends to be difficult. It's also hard to make your world feel unique, something that could only exist within that property.
I think the hardest thing is scope.
Mm-hmm.
How big is the project going to be? How in-depth is it going to be? What format is it going to be in? What audience are you going for? What are your themes visually, narratively? All of that falls under scope. How do you create this? What do you want it to be? And that is absolutely petrifying sometimes. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be as concerned over making something unique insofar as that everyone is out there trying to create something. Everyone is trying to get attention. Everyone is trying to get you to look at their thing. And I feel like the more you focus on being that one special thing, you can't be the snowflake in the pile of snow, Everyone is trying their hardest to catch attention. So just focus on making something you enjoy. Maybe it is notably derivative in some fashion, or maybe the homages or the source material that you are inspired by are kind of worn on the sleeve. That's fine. It didn't stop Star Wars.
No, definitely did not.
So do what you want to do, as long as you're not like outright copyright infringement. Right, let's be realistic here. Don't have Bonnick the Bog Hog running around collecting silver rings. You be a little more creative than that. But, do what you love, write what you find entertaining, create something that you would enjoy and that you would like to show off, and you'll find an audience. It may not be a big audience, and it may be kind of niche and it's hard to sell other people on the notion, but it shouldn't be about success. He says, knowing full well that there are bills to pay and it is very hard to do a passion project and keep the lights on. I get that. I really do. But don't fall into the trap of what is going to be marketable, what is going to get me the easy Kickstarter, what is going to be the next viral sensation. Make your own thing and it will grow, hopefully, eventually. And if not, you've at least made something that you enjoy. You have completed the process of creation. And, maybe it gets discovered 10, 20 years down the road. And it's like, oh, why wasn't everybody on top of this? This is great. And you can, look back with pride and say, where were you back then? I needed you. Yeah. There's always a way to be cynical and bitter about it. So don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just, you do you.
You'll figure it out. You'll find out eventually.
As for the scope, personally, when trying to figure out Dragoon, which that can spin out of control very, very easily, sit down, look at what your project is and say, okay, who is the main character? And if you start listing off more than two, stop, revise. Where do they start? And if you don't quite have that down yet, say, where do they end? This may not work for you. This is just me. And refine from there. Like with Dragoon, I know where Wind's journey will end. I know the finale. How that plays out is still being revised and rethought and reapproached, but I know the end goal. And I knew a few points of where to start. And that has changed because, sometimes it's too far back. It's like, okay, if I start here, then it takes a long time for the next interesting plot beat to happen. So don't do that. You don't want to be bored with your own material. Start over here where it's more interesting. Well, how does that make sense now? Maybe you have to revise and rethink and recontextualize and throw everything out and start from scratch. That you just got to do that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got your two anchor points. Okay, how do they get from point A to point B? If you're starting here, what is the path to take them to the end? And what happens along the way? If you are bored writing that out, throw a monkey wrench into it. Okay, I want the character to have done this successfully. Okay, don't. They fail at that plot beat. What causes them to fail? Is it something they did wrong? Is it something they could have stopped but didn't? Is it something they couldn't have seen at coming? And if that's the case, where did it come from logically, so it isn't just some random thing to throw your plot askew? Okay, now that you've disrupted things, how do you fix it? How do they get back on track? What is their journey? How do they solve that problem? I mean, push comes to shove, look up like a random plot generator online and, have it throw a plot point at you and look at it and go, this makes no sense. And see if you can find a way that it would actually make sense. See if that worked, if you were forced to work with that, could you write around it? Or maybe it doesn't work at all and you need another prompt. But give yourself some constraints. Settle on what your focus is and then build from there. And be prepared to revise so much. And have all these great ideas that just fit so perfectly, and now you got to drop them because they don't work anymore. Just be prepared. Yeah. It is. You are chipping away at marble to reveal the statue. It's not going to be perfectly done the first time you take the hammer and chisel to the stone. You're going to have to keep chipping away.
One thing I always think about is like if you're stuck writing, you're having a writer's block, you're in the middle of writing something, but you can't think of where to go next. Just have a random ninja attack happen. See what happens from there. If it's completely useless and junk, you could just throw it all away. But maybe it helps you get unstuck. So like all of a sudden ninjas appear. Just do that. Yeah. Maybe it goes nowhere. Maybe it's stupid. But, at least it got you writing something, I suppose.
Like maybe you think of a fun exchange during that ninja fight. And it's like, this is stupid, but I like that bit. Where can I find a reason for that bit?
Exactly.
And then you build the scene, and then you have the scene. Okay, how does the scene fit? Then you contextualize that scene, and then it fits into your plot line, and there you go.
Yeah, it's just a way to get out of it, I like that. Also, I'm totally going to make my original character Bonnick the Bong Hog. Because that's what you said. Or did you say Bon Hog?
I said Bog Hog.
Bog Hog, oh.
Bog Hog.
Bog
no
Hog.
N.
Oh, that's less fun. That's less funny.
What kind of malcontent do you toke me for?
I don't know, man. Getting way up on that high horse up there. Yeah. Okay. I found it. I found out. Okay. I didn't realize you were actually making a reference. Didn't realize that was... I forgot about that.
I was making a reference?
It's... Yeah. In the chat. There's actually a panel of Sonog the Bog. It was from way old Archie, I think.
No, I was being lazy and replacing S's with B's.
Oh. It's Sonog
it's
the
inescapable.
Bog. Sonog the Bog. Bog Hog. Amazing.
That is a thing.
Amazing.
That is a thing.
Archie Sonic is... Wow. I think your subconscious may have dragged that one up.
That is entirely possible.
Wow. Yes. Anyway, sorry, we got totally distracted off that question.
This leads back to the previous question. Once I'm done with Sonic, I will never escape it because it will be forever bubbling up from my subconscious
and etched into your brain and your subconscious and everything, literally everything.
I will be laid out in my deathbed and they will be feeding me pills and I will just be going, how to go fast, how to do it, gotta speed, and they're like, just turn off the lights, let him be.
All right, Grandpa, let's get you to bed.
Hey, we're brown eyes in my day.
Man. The Cartoonist is here with our final question for the priority Q&A for this week. And they ask, hey, Ian, you've read The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, which is one of your favorites, right? Have you read any other Don Rosa Duck comics? And would there be any to recommend Kyle to start him down the dark path of the Duck comics? I think Kyle would dig it. What? No, I would hate Duck comics. I am not in any way, shape, or form a fan of anything that's derivative of Don Rosa's work. No, I'd hate it. I'm being sarcastic.
Yes, I know.
Okay. I know you know, but, we got other people listening too.
I very know.
Yes.
I have not read anything outside of Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. At least not to any, serious extent. And, I add that to the list of things to do. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Life and Times in and of itself is just such a solid read that is the introductory book. Like, if you can get through that, it's like, oh, wait, this is marvelous. And there's more? Well, then, yes, let us seek it out.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, read Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck.
Okay.
Just do it.
I'll do it. Anyway, get off track a little bit. All right, we've reached the end of this episode, and I think we've reached the end of our tethers.
Pretty much.
So,
but before we go, we need to give a big thank you to everyone who makes this show possible. Big thank you to Daniel H., Alex P., James K., John B., Jennifer R., Robotnik, Holmes, Samuel P., Sam Cybercat, Mike B., Dave M., Coupling Crew 128, Duas Diz Din, Off, Andrew D., Salute Your Cat, Jay Frost, Scruffy Matt, Hero of Light 13, Chris A., Sony, Ryan D., John M., Noni, Jib, Don B., Yami M., Lee H.K., Lisa M., Chevelle, Fiona M., Piggy Bank, Blue Title Gamer, Invade Turbo Tunis, Ben W., Tick Tick, Keeper of the Monsters, Xanderini the Painter, Final Neil, Jonathan D., Axis, Namork, Solaris Stain, Godzilla, Dabbler the Dalek, Scurvy Pirate Hog, The Name is X, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Daniel B, Ava Arctic, Pedantic Cat, Dove, Red the Supernamic, Pan Dolce, Quackle Gaggle, Chad, Professor Rye, Jennifer H, Les, Cameron H, Sapphire Scarletta, Preston M, Alphamon or Yukon, Arc Fighter, Noah S, Cordero Highwind, Supersonic Fan, Chase L, Red Wolf, Nondal, Alex GS, Awesome Cakester, Kimiko, Radry, Callum Q, Jack the Animator, Just a Mountain Soul, Finest Cacophony, Ty H, John the Real Waluigi, Maddie H, Johnine B, KJB and Tails, Triplets Born, The Throne Awaits, N Zephyr, Owen BD, Mox DeRusival, Lights Yubel, The Marble Gardener, T Ranger, Lewis J, Four Sonic Fan, Joshua S, Omega Watt, Agent Kaz, Saving Throws, Navarre, Exadel, Michael P, Ty Cyan, Lemur Chicken, Jamal S, Neo Strafe, Rhythm Raccoon, Lacey M, Wild 48, Finners Asger, Pap, Delta God 77, Dapper Shinks, Miggy Sawdust, Pig Dan 20, Jinx, Unlikely Veronica, Spiral Warrior, Lucky Lychee, Angela V, Cosmic Cooking Hunter 77, Dr. Meccano, Ozjam, Miles the Prower, Shimmy Maru, Starlight Sec, Phelps G, Ryoko Shion, Meta Mode, Danny the Light, Frost the White Lion, Agnes S, Wheels 282 Hedgehog, Brett B88, Dark Knight Beyond, Nova Polyduo, Pizza Person, Scourge Time, Somebody, Speedweed, Seth Cube, The Might of Gobora, Yoshi Milkman, Zed Cartoonist.
Dang. That's a heck of a lot of names. Thank you all for supporting us and for being here with us. Amazing.
That's going to wrap us up for this edition of the Bumblecast. We will see you Friday for the standard Q&A. Until then, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the Bumblecast.
That's it. Oh, that's all we got. Don't insert any names. Leave the silence. One time that will probably happen. Big thank you to, and then 2 minutes of nothing.
And or it be far more fun to call you Mr. Kyle. Arm the cannons, arm the bumble cannons, Mr. Krause. Pirate cast.
That's why we
Scurvy. You need to be designing the bumble crossbones. Me pirate be turning into glom gold almost.
I mean, Glom Gold kind of is a pirate-y voice.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Okay, good. I'm glad you're tired. I mean, good. Stop jamming things into it and then jamming things out of it.
Can't prove nothing. It's a consenting machine.
Okay. Well, it doesn't have a conscience, so I don't think. I hope. Well, maybe it does. Maybe it's
We're going to start recording now. We're going to start recording right now. We're going to end this line of discussion and record right now.
Oh, fine.
You've been listening to the Bumblecast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Now I've got that preschool song in my head. Peanut butter, and jelly. Peanut butter, and jelly. Did you ever do that as a kid?
No, I don't think so. I just know peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter and jelly time. Yeah, not right. We're moving on.
What? Is she tired of us talking about peanut butter?
Yeah, I'm getting some critiques from the Peanut Gallery.
What did she say?
She said, how long are you going to be talking about peanut butter?
Long enough. Thank you very much. As long as we need.
This episode's going to be clocking in at over an hour, so it's...
Honey, by the way.
Okay. No. And apparently there's a terrible chemical reaction between peanut butter and honey that's actually toxic.
What? Then
That's what I heard.
Then why do they literally? We have honey peanut butter, dude. It's fine. I'm not dead. I don't think it's a
my
thing.
My brother also ate it all the time, and he's perfectly healthy.
It's fine. There's nothing.
Oh, it's for babies.
Oh.
Oh.
Sort of like how chocolate is toxic for dogs.
I guess. I don't know.
Yes, it is, but it's not for adults. Yeah, honey peanut butter. It's like the thing, man. It's the coolest. That's not toxic.
Well, I learned something today.
I think
toxic.
I think you
that I won't dispute.
I think you needed to unlearn something today, actually.
Well, I don't like honey to begin with, so yeah.
You don't like honey? Man, we can't be friends anymore.
That just leaves all the, broken glass peanut butter and honey for you.
Oh, okay. You don't
have to share.
You don't like honey, you don't like cheese, you don't like
Not really, no.
You don't like good things, man. What's wrong with you?
Dude, my palate used to be so bloody restrictive. It's a miracle that I am alive.
I can imagine.
When I say I ate peanut butter and jelly for like a straight 20 years, that's not really hyperbole.
I didn't think it was. I kind of believe you, but
and this is the kind of stuff that you don't really say out on social media. So everyone in the chat, you keep your mouth shut.
Oh, don't worry. I'll put it in at the end of the episode.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay.